This is a youth event. Good afternoon, everyone. We can do better than that. Let everyone know that we have young people who are about to get right into it. Good afternoon. Much better. I am excited for the session that we're going to have. And how did you feel about the opening session, guys? How did we feel about it? Did you leave feeling challenged? What's the one word? How did you feel about the morning session? Exciting, Inspiring, amazing. How did you guys feel? How did the morning session leave you feeling? Motivated, energized? Let's get a couple more. How did you guys feel? Young people? Inspired? I mean, we can think of something else. Throughout the morning session, when I was hearing the leaders speaking, and I kept looking forward to our session, because it's like everything they were saying, young people are the solution, young people can drive the change, and we are the young people here. So how do we feel? Maybe two more words. Motivated. Okay, motivated, inspired, and ready to take action, yeah? Ready to take action. Well, it is my absolute honor and pleasure to welcome you all to this insightful session, AI for All, African Youth Voices Shaping the Future. Are you guys ready to shape the future? Are you guys ready to shape the future? Yes, let's keep the energy up. Let's keep the momentum up throughout the entire session. As President Paul Kagame said during the session this morning, Africa cannot afford to be left behind. And we really need a lot to do because we'll not be playing catch-up. We want to be ready to compete on the global market. And that's why this particular session by the Center for Fourth Industrial Revolution Africa and in partnership with the Mastercard Foundation is very crucial. We have an esteemed lineup of experts. We have young pioneers who are also going to share with us some of the solutions, innovations, and we'll also have time to get to hear from you. We'll have an open Q&A where we get to hear your thoughts. Also, what are you doing? What would you like to, how would you like to be better equipped? To get us started, please help me in welcoming Daniel Hailu, Executive Director of Pan-African Programs at the Mastercard Foundation, who's going to deliver the welcome remarks.
Great. Good afternoon. All right. So let's get started by first, I'm just going to ask colleagues, are we going to close the doors in the back? Are we going to leave them open? Just so we can have some quiet here. Thank you. So distinguished guests, innovators, partners, and most importantly, the young people joining us today. Good afternoon. Welcome to this session. I know that there are choices. So this is a session we're having. There's others going on as well. So I'm grateful for the decision you've made to be with us. We'll make sure that we have a great conversation. We want to continue what started this morning, right? There was great momentum that was initiated, and we're going to work really hard to make sure that we maintain that energy that was started this morning. So with that said, it's a true honor to welcome you to this Mastercard Foundation event. AI for All, African Youth Voices Shaping the Future. This isn't just the title of our conversation. It's a bold declaration, and it's a powerful call to action. It affirms our shared belief that the future of artificial intelligence in Africa must not be imported or imposed. It must be envisioned, shaped, and built by young Africans for Africa. And if I can ask you just to rewind a couple of hours ago, I think we heard a lot of leaders of government, private sector, sharing the same sentiments. So again, we're continuing that conversation. For too long, Africa has been a passive recipient of technology change rather than its architect. Today at the Global AI Summit for Africa, we are flipping that narrative. Young Africans are not waiting on the sidelines. They are not waiting for permission. They are leading. They are creating the tools, building the platforms, and driving the conversations that we will define Africa's place in the AI-powered world. They're not just preparing for the future, they are already building it. At the Mastercard Foundation, we believe in the potential of young people to transform this continent. Through Young Africa Works, our strategy, we aim to enable 30 million young people across the continent, 21 million of them young women, to access dignified and fulfilling work by 2030. We recognize that artificial intelligence is rapidly transforming the employment landscape, and young people must be prepared not only to adapt, but to lead. That's why, through our digital economy initiatives, we've committed over $1.3 billion to help young people to harness opportunities of the digital age. Already, more than 17 million young people have benefited from our programs. 1.9 million of them are working. When we invest in young people, we place them right at the intersection of technology, opportunity, and human potential, the very space where AI's transformative power can be most deeply felt. The numbers speak for themselves, and I know that, just going back to this morning, there were a lot of numbers that were shared in terms of the potential as well as the gap that exists, that we are collectively looking to close. By 2030, artificial intelligence is projected to contribute up to $2.9 trillion to the African economy. And the engine for that growth, it's the brilliance, creativity, and resilience of African youth. We are already seeing remarkable examples of young Africans who are innovating and using AI to solve local challenges to unlock new possibilities. I'm going to name a few here, but there's a lot more. So the first one I'll reference is Jean Bosco Nziama, the founder of Habona Limited, here in Rwanda, is using AI to revolutionize waste management and drive sustainable solutions. Ifoma Udo, the founder of She Included in Nigeria, is a female, has developed a female-focused fintech to expand financial access through AI-powered tools designed to support underserved communities. And Patita, a Mastercard Foundation scholar, born into a Maasai pastoralist family, founded Earth Acre, an AI-driven platform creating nature assets like carbon credits, ensuring communities are fairly compensated for conservation efforts. Today, she works with over 3,000 landowners in Kenya. These young leaders aren't just adopting AI, they are actually defining it. Their solutions are tailored to Africa's unique context in healthcare, education, agriculture, and financial inclusion. But their work must be recognized, it must be supported, and it must be scaled. And speaking of recognition, we are joined today by over 30 young entrepreneurs who are here showcasing their businesses in booths that are located just outside. So when you walked into this room, you would have walked past a lot of them. If you haven't already, I encourage you to stop by, meet them, hear them, engage with them, understand the journey that they've been through and their aspirations and their dreams for where they want to go in the future. Learn how they're leading Africa's transformation through digital and AI-powered solutions. Ladies and gentlemen, these inspiring stories are just a glimpse of what's possible when we enable the potential of young Africans. We are living in a moment where Africa's youth dividend meets the power of exponential technology. That convergence must be guided by our youth, shaped by their voices, their ideas, and their dreams. To get there, we need collective action. We must commit to ensuring that young Africans have access to high-quality, relevant education, that prepares them for the future and for leadership in technology. Investment in youth-led AI and digital startups to scale innovations being built right here on the continent. Inclusive policies that positions Africa's researchers, creators, and users and contributors to global AI advancement, not just as consumers. As you'll hear shortly from Fred Swaniker, investing in young people, especially young women, is not only the right thing to do, it's Africa's greatest opportunity. Let us leave here today with a shared commitment to build Africa that is inclusive, innovative, and led by its youth. The future is not something we wait for. It's something that we build together, and it begins with listening, believing in, investing in the young Africans. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Daniel, for your inspiring words, really setting pace for the conversations that we are going to be having here today. Young people indeed have the potential to transform the continent, and he's just given us some examples of what some young people here on the African continent are doing, and he's emphasized on the need for collaboration. Here in the room, we have stakeholders from various areas who are also working together to make sure that we create conducive environment for young people to thrive. Up next, we're going to get remarks from a thought-provoking keynote from someone who is very instrumental in shaping Africa's leadership and innovation landscape. Please help me welcome to the stage Fred Swaniker, founder and CEO of Sand. You're welcome. Founder and CEO of Sand Technologies. Let's escort him with a round of applause until he gets to the podium.
Good afternoon. Can I have a show of hands? Who here believes that Africa has the greatest store of talent for the world? Everyone. Okay. This morning we talked about how youth is our superpower as we get into this AI moment. Now, one thing I want to start with today is that I want to dispel a myth that we have. We have a potential superpower, but we have not yet unlocked it. One of the things that we talk often about is our youth bulge. We're going to have 60% of the world's young people by 2050, a workforce larger than China or India in the next decade. This is not exactly true. What we have is a population, but population does not equal to talent. Population becomes talent when you convert it through education and skills development. And that is the first thing that we really need to understand as a continent if we're going to actually win in this moment. Which is why we really need to applaud the Mastercard Foundation for the work that they're doing to invest in our continent's young people so that we can actually convert from having a population to talent, right? So the big, commitment that they've made to enable 30 million young people to have work by 2030 means they're going to have to train 60 million, 100 million people, right? And that when we have skills, then we can say we have talent. So that's the first point that I want to make as we think about entering this exciting AI moment. Now, I was asked to talk about investing in African youth as we think about this AI moment. So my remarks today are really going to address to the young people in the room, right? And I want to talk to you about what it takes to be investable as a young person. What is it going to take for you to actually be investable? And there are two people who are looking to invest in you as young people. One are employers. They want to hire you, they want to give you opportunities, they want to bring you onto their team. The other are investors who want to back your venture. If you want to be an entrepreneur, they want to put money into you and they want to help you get started. So I have three messages for you today as a young person. First, if you want to be a player in this AI economy, you have to get skills, right? You heard earlier, I think it was Strive Masiwa who said, hustlers without skills aren't going to get us anywhere, right? So the first thing you have to do is get skilled. And there's so many opportunities for you to do this today, thanks to organizations like the Mastercard Foundation. Meta has launched a great program teaching people how to build AI agents. Google is doing some skilling. We're fortunate to partner with the Mastercard Foundation to be skilling hundreds of thousands of young people. Last year, we enrolled about 670,000 people in our training programs, supported by the Mastercard Foundation, and graduated 200,000 of them, right? And there's so many great examples. CMU is training people in artificial intelligence and machine learning. So that's the first thing you have to do. Don't sleep on these opportunities. Wake up and get those skills. We're seeing some remarkable outcomes from these skills. How many of you in this room would like to have an extra 30 basis points in IQ? You all want to be smarter, right? Everyone. So if you don't learn how to use generative AI, you're leaving an extra 30 basis points in IQ behind on the table. This is what a friend of mine who's a researcher at Google Brain, he said, as they think about AI, generative AI, that's sort of how they view it. It's like every single person in the world just gets an extra 30 basis points in IQ, right? So what can you do with that? You can really become a superpower. And that allows you to get so many jobs. We recently trained about almost 100,000 people through a program called the AI Career Essentials, where in 8 weeks you learn how to use all the generative AI tools, Anthropic, OpenAI, Google's Gemini, and everything. I recently looked at some data. Within 6 months, 87% of them had got a job after being trained for just 8 weeks. Superpower, and you are able to now suddenly, compete with the best talent in the world. Imagine if you now have access to you can have the best graphic designer for your startup, the best data analyst, the best $10 a year, $20 a year, because that's what artificial intelligence allows you to do. Y Combinator just launched, they're looking at their recent batch of startups in Silicon Valley, and they found that they're growing at the fastest rate in history, 10% revenue increase every week. Why? Because they're using artificial intelligence to augment so many things, to automate so many processes, and to code their startups. So 95% of the code of many of these startups is generated by AI. So you have no excuse now as an entrepreneur to not be able to compete, because you can have one of the biggest challenges. Okay, funding is always a problem, but now with AI you need less funding. The other challenge you have as an entrepreneur is finding the people for your venture, and suddenly now you have all these skills to allow your startup to be successful. And so, first point is yes, get skilled. Second, think global. The skills that we're building in Africa, and the folks who are going to invest in us, whether you're looking for a job or you're looking to start a venture, this should not be the only place that you look for work. The world is your oyster. The nice thing about these AI skills, that if we build it in Africa, is that we become the world's talent pool, not just Africa's talent pool. So you don't have to wait for African leaders to get their acts together and fix your economy. If there isn't a job in Kenya, work in London. If there isn't a job in Nigeria, work in Germany. That's what building these skills allows you to do. It allows you to go global. I meet people all around the world who have been skilled through some of our programs, who are getting jobs, outside of Africa. And some of them are sitting in Africa, earning $2,000 a year, a month, $3,000, $5,000 a month. Because the average college graduate in Africa only makes $230 a month. This is a time bomb. So if you are sitting here trying to get a job only here, you're limiting the earning potential. But by looking globally, you suddenly can earn so much more, and that can allow us to earn the foreign exchange that can drive this economy. If you're an entrepreneur, again, build businesses to go global. I woke up this morning to an email from one of my graduates, went to African Leadership University, and he said, I just want to let you know, I just raised my oversubscribed venture capital round for $13 million. And at a $100 million valuation for my business. This guy started 5 years ago, a small business coming out of ALU with $5,000 capital. And he built a business where he uses artificial intelligence to track what's going on in different stores for fast-moving consumer goods businesses. He's employed hundreds of thousands of people who go in and use their phones to capture data for all these FMCG companies. He's expanded his business from Africa to India. He now lives in Los Angeles. And he's creating jobs for hundreds of thousands of people in Africa. And he's gone global, right? And so don't limit your sights to only Africa as you think about where you're going to go. Whether if you want to get a job or you want to get, to be an entrepreneur. One of the best examples of this is what the Nigerian musicians have shown us. Burna Boy and Wizkid. Before, you would see them hustling in Lagos, in Accra. They might be paid $10,000 for a gig. When they went global, now they sell out the O2 Arena in London for $1 million, right? Or the Madison Square Garden. You can't even get them to come to your thing. They say, if you call Burna Boy, say, private jet, please, and $500,000 before I even come. Because they are global. But they're still creating jobs in Africa, because behind every Burna Boy, you have his social media strategist, his lawyer, all of this team that's around them, right? So one of the huge opportunities for us in this moment is in the creative industries. How do we use AI for film production, music, animation, gaming, so that we can actually tell our own story as Africans? Because one of the biggest hindrances to our development is the way in which our story is told. It is not told by us. So we can tell our own story much, much more accurately, right? And really start to drive this economy. Look at Africa's problems as you think about where the opportunities are. If you're a young person today and you want to be an entrepreneur, I always say that Africa is an entrepreneur's paradise because we have lots of problems to solve, right? And so one of the big challenges that I see in the whole global debate around, or conversation around AI, is people are starting with the technology first and not with the problems. So in Silicon Valley, everyone is talking about, the next version of Gen AI and this and this. And it's like a hammer looking for a nail. A lot of money's gone into it, but no money is being made. That's my timer telling me my time is up. And so as we go forward, I want us to avoid making that mistake. Let's not dwell on the buzzwords. Every startup now is an AI startup. Are you really solving a real problem? And we have so many problems in Africa. Healthcare, education, how do we make our cities better, transportation, and so forth. Start with those problems first. And then look at all the technologies that can solve it. Generative AI is only one of many, many, many different types of technologies and many different types of AI. AI has been around for 50 years. Gen AI is not the only form of AI that you can use for your business or to upskill yourself. So let's not be a continent that has lots of people with buzzwords that are just talking. Let's do real things and solve our hardest problems. And if we do those three things, get skilled, think global, and really start with our problems, we'll actually capture this potential. Thank you.
Amazing, amazing. Thank you so much, Fred. And by the way, if you have any question, Fred and Daniel, they're still here with us. They're still in the room here with us. We're going to have a panel discussion. I'll make sure to include you in the conversation that we're having here today because we want to hear your voices more. The conversation is beyond what is happening here on the podium, but it includes all of us. So do note down in your notebook, if you're taking notes in your phone, if you have a specific question for either of them as well as our panelists, we'll have time to dive right into it. So now I'm going to now invite my panelists one by one with a warm round of applause. Escort them with energy as they come up to the stage. I'll start with Wambui Kinya, General Manager, Google Search Africa. Let's give her a warm round of applause as she comes. She's based in Kenya, and she brings experience from previous roles at Elephant Ventures LLC, Andela, Mozilla, and Building Markets. You're welcome. Up next, we have Chinasa T. Okolo, fellow with the Brookings Institute. Let's give them their 1 minute of fame, guys. We can do better, yes. You're welcome. She is a fellow in the Center for Technology Innovation in the Governance Studies program at Brookings and a recent computer science PhD graduate from Cornell University. Her research examines how African governments can facilitate effective AI and data governance, investigates also the socio-economic impact of data work in the majority world. So I guess she'll also bring in insights from what was discussed by our leaders during the opening session. Up next, we have Lavender Birike. Ladies and gentlemen, there she is. She's the co-founder and CEO of Klima 360. 1 minute of fame. Let's escort her up until she takes her seat. You're welcome, Lavender. You're welcome. She is a distinguished innovator and entrepreneur, renowned for her significant contributions to the insurtech and agtech sectors in Africa. And as the co-founder and CEO of Klima 360, she leads a company committed to transforming agriculture through innovation and resilience. And guys, as I'm taking my seat, I'm just looking at the panelists. Do you guys notice it? It is an all-women panel, guys. Amazing, amazing change makers leading the change, transforming communities. I want to start with where Fred left off. Let's move away from the buzzwords. When we're talking about AI, what role? We'll go one by one. Maybe you can share in respective of the industry that you're in. What role do young African entrepreneurs play in shaping global AI landscape? How have you integrated it into the work that you're doing?
Awesome. Thank you so much. I'll start by saying that young Africans have refused to be left behind in the AI revolution, and that deserves a round of applause. We are seeing bold entrepreneurs and students coming up to ask us as the entrepreneurs in the scene, how can we help you build? How can we help you gather data? How can we help you process, analyze, and make this solution come to life? We as Klima 360 are using AI in a very unique way. We are able to access data from satellites, train it, analyze, and provide actionable data for farmers and also for financial institutions like insurance and banks to be able to support them towards climate resilience. And this is a tough ask. One, we are dealing with industries that are not known for adopting technology quick, but at the same time, we are able to take advantage of the opportunity that is within Africa, the talent that needs to be trained to be able to make sure that this comes to life. My call is to the young people in the room. AI revolution is our mountain to climb, and we have to climb it. There's no way around it.
Indeed, there is no way around it. Wambui.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Okay, so today, well, a small confession. While I am youthful, I may not be young, but I'm going to channel it all, so I'm going to need your energy. Well, okay, so my approach to this is actually one that is very practical. It is just get building. And I think as someone that was a software engineer that then became a product manager and then became a leader in sort of how we build solutions, AI presents a very multidisciplinary opportunity. How you participate in AI doesn't only have to be being the AI engineer, the ML engineer, the person that can actually engineer the AI agents, though I know many of you are engineers, and I will certainly speak to that. But how are we collecting data from our communities? We don't have a lot of good data. We have data, but not a lot of good data. So how are we enabling the safety? How are we ensuring that ethics and responsibility is applied in the way we're collecting data? Oftentimes, the solutions we're building require domain experts. And so for those of you that may not necessarily be technologists, though we all are, if you're holding or an owner of a smart device, but how are you bringing the discipline that you are now an expert at and really thinking about it in the context of the problems you can solve? Then there's certainly researchers. We spent the last couple of days with a lot of innovators that are in research. So how do we bring the ability to really analyze and to use data to better understand patterns and then really think about the actual utility. How will this be used and who will it be used by? And then certainly for the engineers, I think there's no longer, and I think Fred really spoke well to this, there's no longer a reason to not just get started. And perhaps later in the discussion, I can give very practical examples for that. But there's a lot of learning that is available to you. And so to say that I've only limited it to what I got in my class is now almost feeling like you're being lazy. There's so much opportunity and very practical ways for you to learn from people who may have built already, and you just need to better understand, well, how does that get applied to the context in which I'm trying to solve.
Chinasa, even going back to the research that you've done, looking at the young people here in the room, do we really have the capacity, the potential to really change the global AI landscape? What role do we have?
Yeah, most definitely, and thank you for the great question. We've already seen many African youth leapfrog these traditional of, actually impacting the landscape within Africa. And I would say, African youth have really shown that you don't have any computer science, machine learning, or AI published at these top-tier venues. And so we've seen organizations like Masakane, Ghana NLP, Irere in Africa, and also AI Saturdays. Communities are organizing and publishing at these top-tier venues like ML, KDD, iClear, etc. This innovation has started from Africa. Again, more so with governments.
Lavender, why is it important for entrepreneurs? Why is it important for us to say we need to have African challenges? Why is it important that we're changing the conversation to saying these emerging technologies that are coming in an upper hand?
Of how this comes to play. Later on, I'll mention some for their companies. Just at Climate 360 using AI, we are in industry agriculture where data is fragmented. So for us to be able to go, we need to think of ways of building overnight. That's the power. Just last week, I had a young person from Nigeria approach me, and he saw a post on LinkedIn and came and told me he part of the solution, right? So we're seeing employment coming up. Young Africans rising up to develop localized solutions because we leave this to the Western world. And if we wait, then we cannot afford, quite literally, to not participate in the AI revolution.
Looking at, maybe Wambui can bring you to the conversation. The environment is changing, but it's still the same. We're saying some will be non-existent in the next few years. Jobs are going to come. So what skills, what is needed?
So I'll start off with, I don't know why we call them soft, but because so the interdisciplinary skills that are needed. How relating the problem? Because like Fred said, don't be the hammer looking for the and not in the comfort of your computer. But actually talking to users. How are you speaking to the domain researchers and better understanding the knowledge that they have there? How are you? Those are things that can be learned, but certainly they should be practiced. Practice with. I met in one University of Kigali AI IoT club, discussing these potential opportunities within your groups and practice to document? What does it mean to design? But in terms of if you were looking for a path or a ladder in which to there's everything. Has anyone heard of a prompt engineer? I've been teaching my prompt engineer because it also really helps how she's using a new Gen AI. But it's also how could you know how I'm old school enough that but in the past it was about web apps and digitization. These are still relevant skills because ultimately the AI has to be consumed. Models and the modules that are being used are certainly evolving as well and made easier, not taken away to deny you an opportunity, but made it is that you were able to quickly apply. Data science. To agree, I don't think you necessarily, and maybe there's PhD, to go through a very expensive PhD program, if perhaps it's you articulating and understanding the data. If you're not sure, ask. But then also, how are you documenting so that there is credibility in the process that you're applying to automate these systems? But there's many, many more rules. I always say start with the practice of those interdisciplinary because critical thinking becomes your superpower around sort of face of a lot of content and a lot of data. How are you able to prioritize for the things that you want to build? So some very practical skills, and then certainly there's ladders that you can go in order to be able to.
And how industries are being disrupted. When it comes to adopting these technologies, the opening session, mindset was one of the challenges. Are we looking at AI as imported, or have we fully embraced bold steps?
Yeah, I would say we're also, there are a lot of bold steps being taken place, but the governance structures that have honestly African youth, to be very frank. And so you can think about building, let's say you're in Lagos and you're time this week, like how you're even going to do. I think that we have to consider the role that governance and governments play in enabling AI ecosystems and also providing opportunities for youth. Because again, you can't innovate your way out of these broken systems. And so we have to have all of these factors come into play to ensure that African youth and also Africa as a whole can take advantage of all the opportunities that AI can bring.
Lavender, what are some of these AI solutions that we're seeing, especially when we're looking at the socio-economic development of the African continent? Which ones are you looking at and feeling like they will move the needle?
Thank you so much for that. First of all, I'll start by saying how impressed I have been just during this conference to be able to meet with some of the young innovators in this space and learn about their work. We are seeing them innovating in different sectors, healthcare, agriculture, financing. They are bold and unafraid. One of the solutions that we've had a chance to talk about is Health Tracker, which is changing the landscape of healthcare using AI by providing chatbots for women to be able to track their health, track their periods, and be able to be really empowered about what's going on with them, right? And I asked them, what's the magic wand for you? In this case, the magic wand being that one thing that will make you reach where you want to be. And they talk about partnerships. They talk about funding. We have organizations like Signverse, which is championing inclusion and making sure that deaf people can communicate and can interact with technology. And we have other innovations like Climate 360, which is revolutionizing the agriculture space using AI. These and so many others are coming up within Africa. So my call is for us to bet on young innovators. They face challenges, but they are resilient, and they're ready to build.
They're ready to build, they're resilient, they can climb the mountain, as you put it. Yeah, that is for you, young innovators here in the room, young aspiring entrepreneurs. And I also want to mention some of the innovations that she's touched on. We do have an exhibition that also has other innovations from across the continent. During your free time, do pass by, get to see what the African continent is doing, what the young people here are doing. Chinasa, before we even open the floor to get Q&A from the audience, you mentioned on you briefly touched on policies.
Yes.
So I just want us to get right into it, because we can't have this conversation if we do not have the right regulatory environment. What needs to be done for us to have a thriving youth-led AI ecosystem?
Yeah. For me, education plays a lot, and I've seen his initiatives on the continent have a great. And I would say governments have to focus, because we see that the tech ecosystem and also the AI ecosystem in America has really been this tertiary education. So PhD, master's level, was founded by PhD students, and they were Science Foundation, and many others. Now, the dean of my company to Facebook, and another over $10 million for his company. And so again, I don't think you have to have a PhD to participate in AI, but you have to have pathways, to earn or gain, this specialized knowledge. And this can help you, build also these entrepreneurial skills, and then have opportunities to translate this knowledge elsewhere, whether you decide to build your own startup, or, to go into industry, or, be a professor as well. And so again, another thing I would say is that governments have to help provide and also build up the respective AI ecosystems. And so by supporting, providing grants, I worked with the Nigerian government last year, or a year and a half ago, to provide, review grants for the Nigeria AI strategy, and also the research scheme that they had as well. And so I think we have to have this scale across the continent, alongside, again, with government supporting this general infrastructure, whether it be electricity, data centers, and even these actual hubs where entrepreneurs can convene and work with others, to scale and support their startups.
Do we have entrepreneurs in the room? By a show of hands, who here is okay, we have a couple. So I want to pause. I can see Fred as well. Well, Fred, this question, not for you. I want to ask the entrepreneurs here in the room, because we want to bring you into the conversation. When we're having this conversation, where you're seated, what are some of the pressing challenges? Or what do you feel like need to be done? Since we have policymakers here in the room with us, what do you think could be done different? By a show of hands, I saw you guys, so I'll just walk up to some of you and just give you the mic. We have a hand here. If we could kindly have a microphone.
And Faith,
please raise your hand so that they can be able to see you. Tell us your name, the country, if you're traveling in, and the question.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, young people.
Good afternoon.
My name is Janet Kem. I'm the UN Women Representative in Rwanda. I couldn't have stayed without talking. Seeing these 4 young ladies sitting there and leading the conversation on innovation in Africa. Yes, and that is the way we are going. And I heard it from Daniel, I heard it from my brother here, what we must do with the youth. And most often the youth image. Most often when you say young person, the image that comes is a young boy. True or false?
True.
The stereotype is young people the way they were conceived. A young girl, because they always got married very early in those days, they were already women. So the population of youth was mostly men. But today, my daughters, congratulations. And congratulations to our partner, Mastercard, for bringing the young people together during this innovation and innovative talk. For me, a few things. First, to really re-emphasize the need for STEM education for girls, but I heard you when you say it's no longer about PhD in innovation or in science or in what. It's about walking around with your eyes, your ears, your senses, sensitive to the issues around you and seeking solutions. I really love that. To say, when you move around, what do you see? And where does your heart go to in looking for the solutions? So for young people, I think we can change into that, and we will get a lot to do for Africa. The next thing I wanted to talk about is I am tech illiterate, but I love tech. And I follow the televisions, African TVs, and seeing some of the very innovative things African youths are doing. Not from schools, but from the communities. I'm coming to leaving no one behind. We see a lot of things that children are doing from the streets, from the backyards of their parents' houses. How do we integrate these ones to lift them from those backyards into the limelight and also give them the opportunities so that we don't just concentrate on those that have gone to school and have come out and are doing something? That is something I wanted to get us thinking about. And using tech for the creative industry. And African youths, I always say, each African is an artist. We are creative. Just dance alone. If we stand in this hall now to dance, we will dance different styles. So how do we borrow from or learn from this Nigerian model and really bring our creative arts into this space? And the last thing is to share with you what UN Women does in this area for young girls. The African Girls Can Code Initiative. I don't know how many people know about it. It's a Pan-African initiative by the AU, UN Women, ITU, and a number of other partners. And here in Rwanda, we've trained a cohort of girls as young as 13, between 13 and 25. And I wouldn't get into the details of what these young children are doing. Creating solutions on climate change, on health, on ending violence against women, thinking in their groups as they work and coming out with solutions. So I think I presented this to Mastercard sometimes, and it's part of the areas that we look forward to partnership. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much for your contribution. Do we have, okay, we have a couple of hands.
Faith, as we wait for an entrepreneur, there's one comment I wanted to make. I'd be remiss not to say it. In my provocation around just getting started, I just wanted to say, because only I was surprised to see not as many hands go up when she asked, are you entrepreneurs? You all can be entrepreneurs. There are very many ways that you can all participate. There's a lot of open source communities, Open Will Win, that are just seeking contributors. So if you're on the engineering side, the skills, while important, are probably even more of a superpower when you can begin to apply them. So if you have a GitHub that has 0 contributions or 0 commits and 0 feedback, a really good way to start to collect some of that feedback is if you find an open source community. Oftentimes, they're solving for use cases that might be relevant to your communities or relevant even within the region. How do you join a team there, practice your skills, get to a place where you can get to a commit? Even if the feedback is not great, it doesn't matter. You've at least began to learn the process, and you're beginning to show the proof and the demonstration of those skills. For those of you who might be like, I'm not necessarily technical, if there's one thing that we definitely need as a continent is the data, the good data that actually will inform a lot of our models. This week has really inspired me in really going back to thinking about how do we build the models, and Google is doing a lot of work in this space around languages. We have been doing a lot of innovation in India, but we have this continent of 2,500 languages, but they need data. We've been doing a lot of work with universities, so find universities that are also collecting data sets. Understand how they're doing it, contribute, volunteer your time, because it's not limited to just students, but how are you helping us to be able to build the content that unfortunately doesn't exist in the open web so that the models can quickly learn, because just doing formal language, linguist-informed, and nothing against the linguist, that is important. But if you think about how you've been interacting, I'm sure there's been a bit of Pidgin with a bit of English, with a bit of Sheng, like the way language is evolving and the way that we speak is really critical for us to solve these types of things. So everyone here literally can contribute to the way that we are building and evolving AI in a way that allows the people who are building other solutions will be able to build solutions in a way that will scale, because I can speak the way in the language and in what I'm comfortable with, and the AI can respond in the way that I can understand and be able to then be able to leverage the AI. So everyone here can contribute.
Leaving no one behind. We all have a role to play, and we can all complement each other with our strengths. We're going to get a few from the audience. Mention your name, institute or country you're from. Keep it short as well.
My name is Untitled. I come from Gateway Consultancy, and we operate in South Africa, Lesotho, and also remote because of the nature of our work. The question you asked was, what are some of the challenges on the floor when we are looking at AI? And really, I think earlier in the auditorium, one of the things that stood out for me was, how do we ensure that we take AI into your rural areas, for example, and also looking at education? And I think a lot of times when we think about AI and how to use it, we forget that there are people that have no clue what AI is, that have never even been in rooms like this to understand where to even begin. So I think it's really, really important, and I think looking at the projects that I've worked with as well, to really break down what AI is in very chewable particles, that even a layman can understand what that means. If we are talking about our rural areas adopting AI, I think Dr. Fred spoke about it. He said that one of the things that we really need to start doing is to check how is it that we are going to implement and integrate AI into what we are doing. But in order to implement it, we have to understand what are the issues that people have on a day-to-day basis. If we are looking at rural settings, for example, one of the projects that we were working with, you find that the schools are dilapidated. You find that the education system that they have is not the very best. And we say, how do we leverage technology? How do we leverage AI to support in these impoverished backgrounds? But my point really is, it's not everybody that sits in rooms like this where they understand what AI is. So let's break it into particles to say, what is your issue? How can we support you? And then train them in a way that they will understand how AI can be a part of the solution that they need. Thank you.
Thank you. We have another hand right in front of you. If you could pass the mic.
May I?
Yes, you may.
Okay, I'm not gonna introduce myself because I'm gonna make a provocation, so it's dangerous for me.
All the more reason for us to know you.
Yeah. I'm just gonna tell that I'm one of the innovators invited by the Mastercard Foundation, and I have a booth, so if you have a beef with me, I'll be there, but I won't introduce myself. So, to react to what I heard this morning and what have been said here about policy, I hope that the next time we meet for the next summit, we are going to hear what is the investment per capita on AI in Africa. Because we are going to play catch up if we invest less than other countries are doing in the world. So it cannot be the same amount in dollars. I'm fine with that. I know that we don't have that capacity to say that we're going to invest trillions of dollars, but if we divide it by the number of young people who are benefiting from that investment, we need to be in Africa the one who invests the most per capita per young people. And I expect our leaders and the leaders I heard this morning to tell us in 1 year that this is what we are investing per capita per young people on AI in Africa, and that's the only way I can be convinced that we're not going to play catch up. Thank you.
Thank you. Holding our leaders accountable. Okay. We are going to take maybe maximum three more contributions. Please do stand, introduce yourself.
Hi, good afternoon. I'm Samarine. We are a startup in Rwanda. I have 3 points that I'm going to try and make very quickly. So we operate in 3 verticals: agrotech, building AI solutions for social impact, as well as education. 3 things. Education, if we are to try and make this Silicon Valley Africa the Silicon Valley, we need to train the local public, which I guess the way Mastercard is doing. However, my point here is we need to look for disruptive platforms and tools. Yes, we all go to university, etc., but why should we be training people, sending people 4 years to do a data science course when we can do it in 18 months? You don't need to go and prove the concept of calculus, you teach them how to use it within AI. So I say disrupt the market, bring them quicker, faster. Going back to the point of funding per capita is a way to do it. In terms of agrotech, we always, because that's my space as well, we're building a few solutions in that space, we talk about the next generation, the next AI innovation within agrotech. I say, mention 6, blockchains, control environment, agriculture, greenhouse technologies, blah, blah, blah. How many farmers in Rwanda, in East Africa, know about these technologies? By show of hands. Really. So that's the next revolution. Take these technologies to the farmers. And whenever we have these conversations, we are all his venture capitalists, specialists, where is the farmer? That's the final thing for me. And the third point there, sorry, one more. The third point in terms of policy, of course, I love the conversations today, and our head is in the right space, the strategy is being built, love that. However, the policy is a hard question. While the policy is continuing and we have leaders thinking about it, which is fantastic, we as you as a youth, me as a youngish youth, should continue doing and developing and building and looking at those use cases as we go along. We cannot wait for these policies to finally be realized. Hopefully they're working in parallel, but we need to keep thinking and keep on disrupting. It's the only way that we will grow. Thank you.
Thank you so much. If we could have maybe the last 2 contributions from this side.
Hello, my name is Asha Makana from Kenya. I run a coding club for teaching children, especially girls from underserved communities, how to code. My question is, recently I came across a strategy that was launched, an AI strategy, and one of the KPIs that was outlined in the strategy was to acquire quality foreign AI talent to fill the talent gaps in Africa. So my question is, from where you sit, what are these talent gaps that are being referred to? I work as a data engineer, and I get to work with a lot of data scientists, data analysts, ML engineers, and I'm really trying to understand a strategy, a KPI that is being measured. What are these talent gaps?
Any particular person you'd want to?
Probably Wambui, you can assist me.
Okay. Let's get the last contribution, and then Wambui, you'll respond to it right after.
Certainly, a question that I
Wambui, let's first get the last contribution.
Sorry, I didn't hear that bit.
And then yes, please.
Sure. Hi, I'm Carl. I'm the Country Director for Digital Skills Foundation here in Rwanda. We work globally with training, well, here in Rwanda, we train secondary students and teachers in basic digital skills. And I guess the question is, we're all here to talk about AI, of course, and that's trending, it's a buzzword, Fred was mentioning it. What do we do with the youth that might not even be able to use computers yet? Mm-hmm. We need to bridge that gap. We want to have this whole talent pool. But if they can't start using computers, how do we get them to use AI? Thank you.
Okay. We'll start with Wambui.
Sure. I'll tackle the first. So I don't know what year that particular strategy paper was written, but needless to say, yesterday at dinner, someone gave an example of how I believe it was Deloitte Nigeria had put out an advertisement for a data science program they were trying to run and were asking for applications. And they weren't able to get and data science Nigeria should be talked to Deloitte, but they weren't able to get enough applications, and the presumption then meant that perhaps there weren't any data scientists. And so I think we are in a moment where we can start to disprove these talent assumptions, but the truth of the matter is not all areas and not all skills do we have. We may have the skill, but then you may not necessarily have the experience. And I would hope that the strategy paper has with it a plan on how, if we are going to have to import the talent, to what extent do we make sure that that talent is also being scaled in terms of other people that are getting to learn from them, and then they get to actually do, and then the imported talent can certainly head back or to another destination. But there are some skills that we just need to start getting the talent. Today there was the announcement of the data center. Are we building enough skills for people who are going to be powering the infrastructure of AI, even as we continue to build these data centers? So it's not to say it doesn't exist, but certainly some of these skills, some of these jobs didn't even exist 5 years ago. And so to what extent are we also building the ecosystem and the experience base in order to fill some of those roles? But my apologies, I don't know what the paper was.
Okay. We're out of time, but maybe if, Lavender, would you take up the question on the divide and then give us your closing remarks? Just one statement, call to action to everyone who's here.
Awesome. I will answer it in two ways. One is my own example. I am a beneficiary of the Mastercard program in so many ways. I was able to sit in an art science class at Cambridge University in the UK, thanks to Mastercard's program through the Equity Leadership Program. I am a beneficiary of ALX through upskilling using data science and software engineering, which are courses that they give, and through the ALX Ventures, where I have founded Climate 360. And I think we should give flowers when people can smell them. So Fred Swaniker, that is amazing work. And we can't underplay the role of these organizations in upskilling Africa to solve African problems. And there are many ways to involve young people. So on the question, what do we do with young people who cannot use computers? It's very simple. There's no way around it. We have to train them. Number two, in so many use cases like Sync Discovery, which is a startup by a young innovator that's using AI to revolutionize the music industry in Kenya. We have Wambui AI in South Africa, which is developing African languages and promoting accessibility using AI. They're innovating, but they need data collectors. They need people with local context to be able to shape how these AI models are trained. There are skills beyond digital that are needed for this. At Climate 360, we deal with farmers, and I can tell you farmers understand AI.
Yeah, love it.
AI is just
closing statement, less than 10 seconds even.
Okay. So my call is bet on African talent. Bet on African talent. This is our mountain to climb, and we are going to do it, but we cannot do it without the partnerships and the investments.
Wambui?
Now I feel like I need a two-worder, but I would say let AI not be the advancing of inequalities. Technology has struggled to democratize and to enable for all. But this really is our moment, because I think it actually is inclusive of all of us, not just the software engineers. So every single one of us should be leaving with the intention of how is it we're contributing to AI in Africa.
Chinasa?
All right. I would say governments support your youth because they truly are the future.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you so much to our incredible panelists. Let's give them another warm round of applause. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you so much, guys. And thank you so much to you all. We could see, we could feel the passion here in the room. We could have continued with the conversation, but time is not on our side. But I do encourage all of us to continue with the conversation, get close to them, even during the cocktails, during lunch break, coffee break. Let's continue the conversations there. For now, we are going to transition to the closing of this session. I would like you to help me welcome Honorable Claudette Irere, Minister of State for Education, Rwanda, who's going to share her final thoughts and call to action. Let's escort her with a warm round of applause. Let's give her the energy.
Thank you, Fiona. You can clearly tell that apart from Fred, and Daniel, this is an all-women session. So women are leading on the AI front. So good afternoon, distinguished people, future leaders of Africa. Today I stand before a generation poised to make history a generation that will shape not just the future of technology, but the future of our entire continent. The power of artificial intelligence is no longer a distant dream. It is here now, and it is here, and it is now. As young people, you are the heartbeat of whatever change that is coming. I think we heard it this morning. You are digital natives. You possess the creativity, energy, and vision to harness AI for solving Africa's most pressing challenges, from healthcare to education, agriculture to infrastructure. AI has the power to reshape industries and improve lives across the continent. We heard AI-powered solutions that address issues unique to Africa. We've heard about precision agriculture, where AI helps farmers predict crop yields and manage resources efficiently, ensuring food security. This morning, the Prime Cabinet Secretary of Kenya wondered if AI has the ability to make us food secure. I think it's possible. We heard of AI in healthcare, diagnosing diseases early and improving access to healthcare in underserved regions. We have seen this in Rwanda, where AI is helping manage health data and predict outbreaks. We've heard of fintech solutions or innovations, where AI helps more Africans access financial services and empower entrepreneurs, just like what a company called Lydia is doing in Nigeria, offering AI-driven credit scoring for businesses. These examples are just the beginning. The future of AI in Africa is in our hands. And as we look to the future, we must remember that the potential of AI on this continent cannot be realized unless we work together. The fragmented markets and regulatory frameworks on the continent, yes, they pose a challenge, but one that can be surmounted. Governments, corporate organizations, the African Union, we all must collaborate with the youth to develop an AI ecosystem that is inclusive, ethical, and sustainable. But this ecosystem needs the input of young Africans. And here are a few key ways to actively shape the future of AI on the continent. One, get involved in AI community and AI conversations. There are AI hubs, conferences such as this, tech communities across Africa. Attend them, network, collaborate, and learn. By joining these networks, you can help build a culture of innovation and solutions. If there's none in your community, start one. Lead the way. We understood, I think, from Wambui, that there is need for a lot of data to improve even the models that are existing, especially on the continent. So this is a call to action for all of us. Number two, develop ethical AI solutions. AI is a powerful tool, but it must be used responsibly. AI solutions must be built with fairness, transparency, and inclusivity. Young people must be the voice for ethical AI on the continent, advocating for systems that protect privacy and ensure that no one is left behind. This is why ethical guidelines and governance should be at the core of every AI development project. Number three, innovate for local problems. African youth are in a unique position to create AI solutions tailored to our continent's needs. For example, AI-based mobile applications can help improve access to education. I think we've heard that. In remote areas, or detect diseases early in rural communities. The key is identifying local challenges and innovating with AI solutions that are both impactful and scalable. Number four, learn and educate, and remain teachable as well. The future of AI depends on knowledge and skill building. Many organizations offer AI training. We just had examples. There are scholarships and coding workshops as well. The AI for Good initiative is one such platform where young Africans can gain the skills needed to push AI forward. But don't just stop there, share the knowledge. Educate your peers, share your expertise, and mentor the next generation of African AI leaders. As the youth of Africa, we are in a unique position to make sure that AI benefits everyone. It must not be a tool that perpetuates inequality or deepens existing divides. We must demand that AI solutions are inclusive and cater for our African communities, urban and rural, rich and poor, tech-savvy, and those that are still in the margins of the digital divide. So I challenge you today. Let's step forward, lead the way, let the world see that AI for all is an African-led vision. The future of AI is Africa's future, and it starts with all of us. Thank you very much for your kind attention.
Thank you so much. Honorable Claudette, before you leave, I'm going to call you to come right back. She has given us the call to action. She has officially closed this session. And once again, I just want to thank the Mastercard Foundation as well as C4IR for bringing us together, for creating this platform for such conversations. We're now going to take a group picture with the speakers to officially mark the end of this session. So I would like to welcome Daniel as well as the panelists, if you could all come forward. And then right after this session, I will ask everyone in the room to also come join in. You know, we want to remember every fest that was here when we were having the first ever C4IR, the first ever Global Summit on AI here in Africa by C4IR as well as the Mastercard Foundation. If we could have the photographers kindly. Daniel, okay. And I ask everyone, get ready. The session has just closed and we're just going to have a quick picture with everyone.